Hey, welcome
Sure.
to the metaverse. Today is I don't even know what day it is. I'm losing track of days due to quarantine.
Yeah.
Today is March the 24th, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually today is funny because today I actually was in Michael Bublé's like live chat and he was like reading barely any comments. And then like the last thing he read was he was like, "What day is it?" And nobody would tell him. Like everybody's like trying to get their word into him, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm like all I did was say Tuesday and you read it. I was like, yes. I've been noticed by Michael Bublé.
That's
But anyway.
awesome.
Anyway. Not like he's gonna
So do
remember
you
me.
anyways, though, speaking of that, do you get starstruck kind of thing? Like do how do you feel when uh somebody famous takes notice of you?
It depends. It depends on like the situation actually. Because like
Uh,
the very first time I met somebody that was like a celebrity status, like just like not even celebrity, just somebody you get like anxious over because you're like, oh, this person's like a kind of an idol or a mentor or role model. Um
mhm.
I did get starstruck to I'm not gonna name any names, but just this celebrity, and the first time I ever met anybody like that, and I kind of she asked me a question. She pointed to me like I had my hand up because like they were asking everybody questions, and I was like, is she talking to me?
Yeah.
I look behind me. I look behind me. She's like, yeah, you, and I'm like, no, she can't be talking to me. It's not talking to me. And it was just like so awkward. And I was like, oh shit. And I totally blew it. But it didn't matter because I met her after that and then
Oh yeah.
um yeah. But
I can't think of a time I met like a celebrity. I've seen them from afar and been like somewhat starstruck. I wonder what it'd be like to enter a dialogue with somebody famous and to see
mhm.
how I would react. But
But like there's the
I don't
fan expo here in Vancouver and they have
know.
those celebrity meet and greets and like for mainly for movies and stuff like that. But like if you want to go and meet somebody like maybe a band or musician just or somebody like
Yeah,
that's different from movies, then you have to go
yeah,
do their event. So
yeah. I've never like paid for a VIP pass at a concert or anything. That's usually what it entails. You got to spend
yeah,
an extra $100 to meet them behind the stage. But I don't know if I'd really have much to say, or I don't need to pay that money to get a picture with somebody. I
exactly,
mean,
yeah. Like
I
if you
definitely
could meet them naturally without having to
yeah,
be like kind of
that'd be
like
cool.
without having to be needy or awkward, then
Yeah, be just like yeah, treat them like a normal person kind of thing.
exactly, yeah, because speaking of Michael Bublé, he used to come into my theater when I was working in the movie theater, come into the theater and watch movies. I don't think he does that anymore. He's
Too big.
I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know. People gotta watch movies sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyways, yeah. Anyways,
I was gonna
what are we
talk.
talking about today?
We're talking about. Let me just bring it up because I there's a
Sure.
lot. There's a lot there.
Well, we're coming off of talking about
COVID.
COVID, society, um, quarantine, isolation. I
I yeah.
maybe I'll start by just reading what I put on my Facebook
Okay.
the other day, and a lot of people seem to react kind of to it, and I think this kind of sums up what I said quite a bit in the last podcast about COVID. And I said, personally, my biggest fear during this pandemic is not the physical risk, but the psychological. Social media has, for too long, been a breeding ground for aggressive outlet without tangible ramifications. Let's not let this issue become exacerbated through our seclusion and isolation. I encourage everyone to maintain a sense of love for one another throughout this difficult time and think before you type as you would before you speak. P.S. Remember, without context, many may misunderstand you, and certainly you will misunderstand others. Maintain the principle of the benefit of the doubt. I just have found that, like, throughout the years, I've noticed so many, like, um, I think it's more prominent in Twitter, like Twitter battles, like
Yeah.
just completely trying to wreck each other, like
Hmm.
just pointing out maybe discrepancies or inconsistencies or just differing of opinion in such like violent and nasty kind of way.
Hmm.
People just seem to have no hold back on the internet world when they speak to each other. Like if you were to say something like that face to face, if I were to say certain things, like I might get punched in the face for that. Like there's social
Yeah.
ramifications for saying whatever the hell you want to say, and literally, you know, insulting people. There's just so much insult on there, especially when like
Comes to
um,
online.
in, yeah, insulting people's intelligence just so often, right?
Yeah.
And
I just wanted
and
to say.
I think it has a
Sorry, go ahead.
huge impact on us. Like I don't if I have people say nasty stuff about me on there, I take it personally, like it hurts.
Hmm.
And a lot of people probably don't really think about that. They just get on and type, and because they don't see me on the other side taking it and getting hurt by it, they don't really realize the damage that's being caused, and so they just kind of keep doing it.
Yeah, that kind of
It-
goes into one of the topics I wanted to talk about is
okay.
words that and intentions that are spoken, or the power of your words when heard. So it doesn't matter if you're saying them or typing
Or
them
red, yeah,
or
or
read.
red,
It could be read, right?
yeah.
So like
Mhm.
like I went on a rant because a couple of days ago because I was just fed up with this person's posting all this stuff,
Mhm.
and I was like, I have to kind of get to them without being direct. But that's the problem. If you're not, if you're direct, they're not going to listen to you, and if you're indirect, they're still not going to listen to you. But then
Well,
other people listen to you.
part of the problem too is just the fact that typing something or like coming to somebody online, it can just be taken in so many different ways. Like that's
Yeah.
why I said, remember, like you can't see the context necessarily. Somebody might be trying to say something in a nice way, and you take it the wrong way. I
Hmm.
was gonna say a lot of my relationship failures, breakups, have happened because of misunderstood text messages, right?
Yeah.
Or like you didn't respond fast enough, or you didn't use the right emoji or something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
just taking somebody's text completely different than the way they intend it to be. And
Hmm.
this is the problem with, especially in a case like ours right now, where we're in a social isolation. People are turning so much more to their devices to communicate, and the communication barrier, there's like so much communication breakdown because you can't get somebody's visuals, you can't hear the tone behind their words, or like maybe they're saying something as a joke and smiling behind it, but you don't take it the right way. I use a lot of satire, and I'm very sarcastic a lot of times because I try to be funny.
Hmm.
Uh, I like uh, making light of many things. I think laughter is a very good medicine in such a difficult world that we live in, right? And sometimes laughing things off is the best way to get through things. But some people don't understand my comedy,
Yeah.
right? So it gets taken the wrong way, and people end up hating me for something that they don't even realize I'm just joking about,
And
right? So
sometimes when they get the message and then they pass the message on to somebody else, that person also gets the message wrong. So like
mhm.
that's why words, the power of your words when heard, um, is so powerful. You got to be careful what you're saying, and that's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, especially like, I mean, for me, I read a lot, right? So I think there is so much power in words. Like they inspire, they, you know, push you to think outside of your own bounds, right? It's like it's always learning, and words are a great way to get to know each other and to expand our idea of truth and knowledge and all those kind of things. And so, definitely, there's so much positive to it, but then there's so many people who use their influence, which is what words are, right? It's an influence. It's a way of
Or in,
communicating
yeah,
and
intention.
bringing about influence, and yeah, an intention. So many people can use it to, like, intentionally to cause harm to people, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think I've always kind of taken a look at what the idea of bullying really is. And I think a lot of people who are dissatisfied with life, maybe themselves or their situation, they what they do is they see people up here and they're down here, and instead of trying to build themselves up to somebody's level,
Yeah.
they want to tear them down, and
Yeah.
it's more about comparison, right? Leo Tolstoy says it in War and Peace, one of my favorite quotes: man only knows himself by comparison. And I think in this context, if you're comparing yourself and you see somebody achieving greatness or just, you know, happy, and you're not, you want to bring them down, because as long as, yeah, I might not be happy, but as long as I can see nobody else is happy, then at least I can be above them. It's like a
Hmm.
hierarchy thing,
Yeah,
which
the
is just
pedestal
so
thing.
disappointing to see, right? So disappointing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. Like especially I see it more with women comparing more than men for some reason. I'm not like there's of course men that do the same equally.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I think women take it more emotionally when they're comparing, and it gets more psychological with them. But
Mm.
I don't know the statistics on that. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of men are more likely to like just end up bringing it to a point where they'll fight over it or something, right? Or um, they'll clear the air. I think,
mhm.
I don't know if, like you said, maybe it's just a simple observation of what you see, but I do see that a lot more. I see men often more willing to confront issues or to speak out when, say, they're hurt. They wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily say, "Oh, you hurt me," but it'd be like, "Hey, what the f? Like, f you. What'd you just say to me?" Like, air it out. Whereas women tend to more internalize it.
bottle it up.
Think about, yeah, bottle it up. Maybe get revenge later, kind of thing, or try to stew on a way of getting that person back. Whereas men
Yeah,
are more likely to just air it out, and sometimes that ends up,
being the best thing.
finding it. Yeah, yeah. So, and that's a good question. I mean, a lot of people, I think these days too, see such a harm uh, in physical violence, right? And I would say men are more likely to fight each other, right? In that scenario, if
Yeah,
things get bottled up, like f you to f you, and it just gets to a point where um, physical altercations bound to happen. Sometimes through that process, um, you're quicker to recover on the other end, but I don't know. A lot of people would disagree with that. It's
yeah.
A lot
Some
of people
women's
think
fight
violence is
too.
like the worst thing. Yeah,
Women
that's right.
fight
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh man, like I remember in high school I saw more girl fights than guy fights. So maybe this is our own stereotyping coming into effect. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't want to. That's why I was saying I don't know the statistics on this, and they're
Yeah,
probably
I don't know
it probably doesn't
either.
even make any sense because like one year will be men and one other year will be women. So
But this is what I would say. I do think that women tend to be more emotional, and they
mhm.
do tend to internalize hurts like that more. Um, that just seems to be the way it is for me. Uh, Men might get more aggressive or agitated through stuff like that, whereas women, I think, become more like hurt by it. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that just seems to be kind of how I see things. Anyways,
Okay,
it
let's
doesn't
go on.
really matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter the difference between the sexes in that
Yeah.
regard. It's no good either way,
But what I wanted to talk
and
about,
both get hurt. Both
yeah,
sexes are hurt by it. Okay, what did you want to
um,
talk about?
the balance, keeping the balance in your life, like even though a lot of people now are laid off, like it's COVID's hitting hard now. It's starting to hit hard. I mean, we haven't even seen the worst. We don't know what the worst is, and then we think this is bad already. And
Right.
in like Europe and Asia, it's
Mm.
like 10, 10 to, I don't know. It's a high number times worse than it is here. And I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast, and
Mhm.
they were going over myth busting,
Mhm.
And I just wanted to say, one of the myths is that high heat temperatures will either cure you, not cure you, but like prevent you from getting the virus or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you consistently go into a sauna,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah, I
they
saw
had a
something like that for the like indigenous smokehouses
well,
because we
I'm
have
more, yeah.
well we've got like especially here on the West Coast, there's high proportion of indigenous settlements or tribes or whatever you might call it, communities, and they do frequently do these rituals, these smokehouses, and it can get up to very high temperatures. I think some people are claiming, yeah, that's like maybe not a cure, but like preventative measures as to getting it because it can't live in a certain type of heat.
Yeah, well, it's not true.
That's not true.
It's
Yeah, it
not
can live in
true.
any type of heat.
The reason why is because when you
Yeah.
breathe in that heat, doesn't matter how like it can get really hot, but by the time it's unbearable, that temperature is just mixing with the air in your body, and it's getting
Mm-hmm.
cooled down.
Mm.
And um,
So if it's
even
in
if it
you,
even if it is
then it doesn't
true,
matter.
even if it is true that high temperatures do make it kill the virus or whatever, it's not gonna cure it. It's not gonna
Well,
help prevent it.
I think one thing like I haven't seen, I've only heard people making making
Smoke
what's the
house?
word? No, no, no. Just making not claims, but like
Hmm.
hypotheses about what could prevent it. Stuff. I haven't heard any news sources say like we found the cure. They're also looking at different autoimmune treatments that they've already got in place and seeing if those can help do it too. But I think in a time like this, there's going to be people saying that, like, oh, this is what could work or this is what it is. I think at the same time, uh, there's no harm in those things. Like, do practice being uh, clean, like, smokehouses and stuff. That's a very healthy spiritual thing to do as it is. So, like, what's the harm in people doing it? And also, there's something to be said about the placebo effect. Maybe if we did
Uh,
say things like that, like, oh, this is going to be the cure, and people are without fear of getting the disease, then maybe that is a higher increase of their body naturally fighting off the disease.
it's funny that you said the placebo effect because I'm reading a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza and it's called Becoming Supernatural. I think I've mentioned it a couple times, and he talks
Is
about
that guy
how
the same as like the Supernatural Man book that you gave me?
no, that's the Way of the
The Way of the
Superior Man.
Superior, yeah, Way of the
I read
Superior
the
Man.
audiobook and it's not the same as the book, but I don't like the audiobook. It's like a lesson and it gets really like I can't even explain it. It's just rude. It gets rude to me.
Uh,
I'm
like
like,
you
no, I don't
need to
like
do this
this.
kind of thing.
Yeah, you
No,
don't need to be this type of way to be sick, like
right.
to be the way
Yeah,
you
it's not
think.
the only type. Yeah, it might have worked for you, but that doesn't mean it is for me, right?
I just saw some arrogance in there. That's what it was,
Right. There
arrogance.
you go. That's fair
But
enough.
they did have
Okay, so
some.
what's this new book you're reading that you were
Okay, so
talking
the
about?
new book I'm reading, well, I'm almost, well, okay, technically, I think I'm a few hours finished to finishing it. It's called Becoming Supernatural, and also short videos. I think they're about half an hour to 25 minutes long. I don't know how long they are. Called Rewired on Gaia, and Gaia is like
Mm.
Netflix. I think I explained this to you the last podcast, that
Yeah, we were
short
talking
podcast.
about Gaia last time. We looked it up in Urban Dictionary.
Yeah,
Remember?
it's one of the Greek goddesses. Yeah, I
Right,
remember.
the
I'm
Greek
starting
goddess.
to
Yeah.
remember now. Totally forgot
Yeah.
last podcast because I did not watch it again. So
Mm.
anyway,
You seemed a little out of it too last
I was
podcast.
out of it. Yeah,
There was stuff going on maybe with you,
yeah.
but
But
there's
Gaia,
always stuff.
there's the
Yeah, go ahead.
rewired episodes, and there's like oodles and oodles and oodles of content that you can watch on Gaia. And I
Mm.
suggest you get a subscription. You get a free subscription. I think it's for a week or a
What's
month.
that, like Gaia.com or something?
There's an app on your phone. Do you have any type of smart device on your TV?
Uh, my TV. I don't know. I use my PlayStation 3.
Yeah, that works. If you can,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe it might not. It might
Well,
not work.
I could check it out on my phone, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you can cast from your phone to your PlayStation, It
I
might
don't
work.
know.
Or you
You
might
know
be able
me,
to
I'm not
download.
very tech.
Yeah, you might be able to
I'm not
download it
very
in the
tech.
App Store. But anyway, Rewired. Highly suggest that. And you also, because you mentioned this,
Rewired?
yeah, Rewired. That's the name of the
That's
program.
the name of the app? Or
No, that's the name of the program on the Gaia show.
okay, okay. I'm gonna
And
look
then
right now in my app store for this Gaia thing.
that's
Anyways, continue.
green.
I'm listening.
Where was I? Okay, so there's another book. Becoming Supernatural is the after book of the Placebo Effect.
Becoming Supernatural.
Is like
Okay.
is like an like a more elaborate explanation slash stories of what happened during the Placebo Effect book. So
Okay.
I don't know if there's an audiobook to the Placebo Effect, but if there is, I might get it because I still have a credit on Audible. But I highly suggest getting both of them. Listen to the Placebo Effect first, even though I haven't listened to it myself. But I think that one, because it came out before the other book, I would listen to that one.
Okay. And what's that about? If you can give me the gist of it.
So Dr. Joe Dispenza, he had some health issues in his spine, and he did some meditations and learned about science of the biology of the body and the metaphysics of healing and the metaphysics of energies in the body and how you can reprogram your thoughts and your habits. This is what it comes into another part of the discussion we want to talk about. Habits to manifest a different outcome in your life. If you want change, like in my book, I put this in my post, but I deleted it. I forget exactly what I said, but you have to change your environment, you have to change your actions, and you have to change your habits. Or your thoughts, whatever. Thoughts, habits, environment. So that's what I think. He says it differently in the book, but basically the same thing.
I'm writing this stuff down.
Good.
Habits, thoughts, and environment.
Like if you want to change something, like you don't want to be going down the same road every single time to work, you're gonna have to drive in a different environment. You know? If you don't want to be angry every time you get to work because the music you listen to is angry music, you have to change your habits of listening to that song. You know, you got to listen to maybe an audiobook or listen to a podcast, listen to our podcast. And just plug it in there.
So,
but
a lot of people, though, I think a lot of people maybe they don't. Maybe first off, maybe they don't know that they need to change these habits, right? Like they don't understand this process. They think they are who they are.
Yes.
And
becoming
second
aware.
of all, somebody needs to, like, once that person realizes that they're always changing, ever changing. We all are. Like we aren't the same, and hopefully so. Like we're always adapting, we're always improving on ourselves and whatnot. And once the person does recognize that they have the capacity to change or that they should, sometimes I feel like they just don't know the process. Like maybe they feel trapped by
I agree.
their love for this specific type of music, or maybe it's their work. It's their work that's getting them frustrated, right? And they don't recognize that that's what it is. You know, a lot of people aren't that self-aware, and so I think that's changing, though. I think, like, especially with the introduction of podcasts and stuff, and I think
self-help.
people do really want to become self-aware, but you can't just say it, right? Yeah, it has to be an internal thing.
Yeah, they have to wake up themselves.
And I think it comes from people recognizing that they're not happy, right?
And also you can plant seeds without being direct. You know?
Yeah.
You could be like not
That's
relating
hard
it.
to do, man.
I know it is hard, but sometimes I'm good at this type of stuff because like I did it to a couple friends to do things, like to get them to do things that like wanted them to do, but I couldn't ask them directly because, you know, if I ask them directly, then how am I gonna get them to do it? They're just gonna say no. So like you just have to relate it to yourself. Make it like sometimes you have to say like, oh, I'm going through a tough time. This is happening, or my friend, this is happening to my friend. This is what they did, and they're like, oh, I should try that. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's an important piece. Like, so, well, for I just want to tie this in then, because I like
okay,
this idea where we're going. We're talking about planting seeds, which is itself, oh, sorry about that,
all good.
which is itself, right, using words. When we're talking about the power of words,
Hmm.
we're talking about the power of influence. And so let's say we have a friend who we really think needs to um, become more self-aware or recognize that they're not happy, right? Like you recognize they're not happy, they don't even recognize it themselves. How do you plant seeds to get them to think that way? So we need to think about the type of words we choose to uh, to manifest this action, like a change in spirit almost that they need to go through, as well as I think what you touched on is kind of like how we approach this, right? So it's not just
Yeah,
the words we use, but it's how we make this approach. So um, depending on how we we open this up to them. So say we have a friend who needs to change. The way you deliver this message can be the key to everything, right? Like if you deliver it in a high and mighty kind of way, nobody's going to listen to you, right? Like a talking down to you. It's going to seem
yeah,
like the bullying tech. It's almost going to seem like they're maybe that person's going to take it like I discussed it before, how they see me up here and oh, he's just trying to bring me down, right? So I was thinking about that, the quote from the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus when he says, "Oh man, I could paraphrase it quick, but uh, it's saying you hypocrite, like you try to remove that speck from your brother's eye
hmm,
when you have a log in your own eye. First, remove the log from your own eye, and then you can help your brother with a speck." I think this
hmm,
is a really great parable. Maybe I'll grab my Bible and read it out really quickly because there's a few points in there that I think can really help us understand how we are to uh, look at ourselves, how we're to, because the message really isn't. It's not saying. Some people would say it's a testament against judgment, right? Like you're not to judge your brother because you're telling them what they're doing is wrong.
but you're doing it
Um,
yourself because you're a
but you're
hypocrite.
doing it yourself. Not only are you doing it yourself, you're doing it tenfold, right? Like you're doing much worse things than your brother, right?
Hmm.
But the importance of it is not that we stop judging; it's that we first deal with the specks in our own eyes, and then we help our brother. Like, so the metaphor is that because we're blind, we can't help that person, right? But once we remove the things barricading us, we can properly help our brother, and
Hmm.
that's the way it goes, right? So if you work on your own inadequacies, then through that process you become a humbler person, right? You
Yeah,
because you know your eyes are full of specks, and now you can recognize just the one speck in your brother's eye and help him remove it in a way that's not judgmental, right? And so, and if you're working on yourself, your brother is going to see you working on taking away those logs, and he's going to want your advice, right? Because if you're a complete mess and you're telling your friend like, hey, you need to clean this up, you need to clean that up, he's going to be like, well, look at you, look at all these problems, as if I'm going to listen to you.
yeah,
Not only do you have your own problems and he's not going to listen to you, but also because you're so arrogant as to think that you can help him with his and not work on your own. There's a power struggle there too.
yeah,
Anyways, I think that's a really important uh, way to approach how we are to plant these seeds in our friends. But
yeah.
anyways, I'm gonna take a breath.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
you were saying, like the hypocritic and part, having the same problems as the person you're trying to help, and like when I look at things, I don't think like they have to be successful in order for you to learn a lesson from that person. You can still learn a lesson from
Right.
anybody. Everybody has, like, you could have somebody who's homeless and say, "This is how you get a house." Like they could tell you how to do it because they've been there, right? But they just don't know how to get out of the hole they're in now. And maybe you can help them get out of the hole they're in now. So
Mhm.
like you can learn something from everybody just because you think that they have more problems than you that they can't help you, I think that's also hypocritical.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, and I think that goes back to our whole man knows himself by comparison thing, right? I think we can just be, I think it has a lot to do with our own self esteem, right? Like, we don't really want help from other people. No matter what, we're going to be kind of on guard when somebody offers us advice, right?
I
Don't
think
you
it
think so?
depends.
Like,
It depends on the person
well,
because, like, when I go to a supermarket, I'm waiting for someone to ask me for help. I want their recommendations. I want to hear what they have to say. And if I don't want their advice, just ignore it, right? Or just say like, "Oh,
mm.
what about this one? Like, have you heard anything good about this one? Like this product?" You know?
So then when you have given people advice, let's talk about that for a minute. Because I'd say maybe that's something characteristic of you. Like, you welcome advice, or you're hoping somebody's going to be willing to offer you some. And, um, I think that's a sign of a self-aware person, right? Somebody who recognizes they don't have all the answers, and that other people are a great tool for acquiring more knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, they take it as a slight to maybe their intelligence or their
Ego.
independence, right? And so I maybe for somebody like that, maybe that person isn't going to be willing to come help you because they've had so many encounters where they've just wanted to help, but the other person has just, like, I've felt that before. I've felt like I've tried to be nice and maybe offer my services to somebody, and then I like a distasteful rejection from it has,
Hmm.
maybe like hurt my feelings or something, but made me not so inclined to help people because I don't like going through that, right?
Yeah. Like when I was working customer service, especially at a bookstore, I worked at Chapters,
Mm-hmm.
and I was getting denied from help every time I wanted to help somebody, and I couldn't handle it. Like it was actually affecting my mental health. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I want to help people, but every time you like the manager comes, he's like, "Why do you keep busy about helping people?" But nobody wanted my help because
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like, doing their own little thing.
Well,
So,
I'm like that too. I actually find it kind of awkward when I walk into a store. Like, I'm not a big shopper. Um, and I don't know what it is necessarily. Like, I don't know if I feel like the pressure now to buy something, or maybe it's the fact that I don't want to like take this person's time.
mhm.
Uh, some For some reason it's kind of embarrassing. Like, I've never really thought about it much before or why it is, but I would say usually uh I usually reject somebody's help. Now, often I will, though. I will go into a store for whatever reason. Maybe it's a bookstore or like a CD
Music store.
store or
Yeah.
something like that, and be like, hey, I'm looking for this. If I'm looking for something specific, I'm gonna go and get somebody's advice. But if I don't know what I'm looking for, which is so funny because if I don't know what I'm looking for, you'd think that the best thing to do would be to ask somebody who works there, right? Because they
Yeah.
know best, you know, uh, which I find so funny. But maybe it's that pressure to buy something. When I want something, I know I'm going to go there and buy something, right? But if I'm, say, browsing, now if somebody comes to help me, I feel obligated to buy from them, maybe. I don't know.
I
Right?
agree with that too. It depends on the moment, right? Because like sometimes you're like you go into a store, you want to be bothered just browsing, and then they ask you for your help, if they want their help, and then you're like, no, I'm just looking, and then maybe they'll leave you alone. It's fine, and then by the time you really want their help, you ask them. But when they get like annoying, then like you're like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave. So
Well, and that can happen too, right?
yeah.
Uh, and I'm like, it's so funny to me because I am not a super embarrassing kind of guy. I'm actually quite extroverted. Like, I like
Mhm.
going up and talking to people randomly. And so for me, who's somebody who's actually quite extroverted, to feel that embarrassment or something, I can really see how somebody who's, more prone to anxiety or embarrassment or shyness, uh, to really struggle when they have random encounters like that. and to
Yeah.
or to need advice, right? So
Anyway,
anyway,
I wanted to go back to
okay,
COVID because we're dealing with this, and the balance of
yeah.
daily. How do we keep our balance when we're so out of balance? You know?
Hey, that's a good call. I like that. How do we keep our balance when we're out of balance? Okay, well, do you have an idea on that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna write
So,
that down. How do we keep our balance? It's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about that.
and I'm not just talking about habits. I'm not just talking about like physical things. I'm talking about
Okay.
opinions as well because I've been watching a lot of these Project Nightfall videos. This guy who's doing these videos on COVID, and he's saying we have to keep a balanced opinion to be able to combat this COVID and to overcome it. And the
Okay.
opinions matter. It really does. Like, it doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. It
To
just
combat.
matters.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
It
Okay.
just matters that, yeah.
I'm trying to think about all this. Sure. Keep going. What's this guy's name? You need to balance opinion
His
to combat the COVID.
Yeah. So like
Who's that?
his page is called Project Nightfall. I think it's 2020. It could just be
And he's
Project
got a big
Nightfall.
following. You
Yeah,
said.
he's pretty big. I think he's one of Nas Daly's or Nas, I forgot his last name. He does like these travel videos. He talks about a lot of things in the world. Like he talked about the Amazon rainforest burning down, and like he talked about how to combat fires with this liquid that's like it gets rid of fires that are like really hot. Like you can use it on any
Mm,
fire. Really interesting. Um and yeah, so Project Nightfall's been making so many videos on COVID-19. Like he was talking
mm-hmm,
about how the chances of getting it are really low at the time when he made the video.
mm-hmm,
But the thing is the spread is so undiagnosed and it's just all over the place right now. Like it's just
mm-hmm.
it's there's not enough tests going around. That's why the numbers are not accurate, and the hospitals are lined up. They're backed up like crazy. People are dying because they can't even get help.
Mm-hmm.
And the older people are the number one to be helped first. So like if you're young and you're really severe, probably gonna die. If you I mean like
Hmm.
they're more likely to recover, the younger people,
Yeah.
according to what we're hearing on the news. But
Yeah.
if you have a severe case, I don't know how many people. I don't know what the youngest case is who died. I
So
only
that
know.
that that's such a good thing to discuss right now. I feel like we don't know really anything about this virus. Like especially locally. Like our city is like shutting down right now. And I don't even know how many cases there are in Maple Ridge. Like, how prominent is this disease in our very own city? How likely am I going to get it? I feel like I don't have even a clue, or I don't know if maybe they don't have a clue. And so I feel like because I think that's a really big uh, issue to discuss, like this fear, right? The fear of uncertainty,
Mhm.
and like I'm very optimistic about all this. Like I've wrestled with the idea of death many times, and I've thought about what is life and what is death and what might be afterlife and whatnot. I've never really felt uh, worried about dying, and I don't right now. And I'm not saying that the COVID-19 won't take me. Um, I don't know. I don't think it will. I stay optimistic that even if I were to get it, I could combat it. As I've seen the percentages of recovery are something like 97%. But like you're saying, we don't really have that much data on it. We don't, and and who's conducting this data, and uh, is it even viable? Like, um, I asked on my Facebook recently, and I said, just just asking out there, does anybody know anybody, or do I know anybody who has the coronavirus? So on my Facebook feed, not one person has it. So
Yeah.
out of 600, not that everybody follows this or would see this uh, this post, but a lot of people responded actually. At least 15 people commented, and a lot of people like say liked it or whatever, but at least 15 people commented, and some people commented like, oh, I've got friends who've got it, I've got friends of friends who've had it, or like this person knows this person, but not
Hmm.
one person I knew had it. And then there was a big discussion that happened, like one of the threads of it was one girl wrote, I know 3 friends for sure who have it and one who might have it. And then somebody asked like, oh, did they get tested and stuff? And she said, no, none of them have been tested because the healthcare system's too overrun. And
Hmm.
so one of the comments is like, well, then how do you know for sure 3 have it and one is a maybe? Aren't they all maybes?
Yeah.
Like, so, like a lot of people who are getting it, like you're one is you're not necessarily sure you're going to get it because a lot of people are just fighting illnesses. Like
Yeah.
when you get a flu, you just fight it on your own and then you go
Or fever.
about your day. Most people aren't, especially now, most people aren't inclined to go to a hospital. That's the first place you're going to catch something like this, right?
Yeah.
So if you're sick enough, if you're well enough to fight off a sickness, you're going to stay home. So I think a lot of people are going to get this virus that we have no clue who are getting it, right? Like we just won't have the proper data to to really know what this disease is doing and who's getting it. I
Yeah.
think
They were
the death.
talking. Go ahead.
I think I think the most important statistic is the death rate because um, they're going to test those who die to see if they died from this virus, and that's going to be the best estimate of what the disease is doing
Mm.
that we can have because I think far too many people are going to get it and not get tested.
But the thing is, that's the thing. Okay, here we go. We're looking at the death rate, right? We're looking at
Mhm.
that number, and it's climbing, and it's climbing, and it's climbing, and climbing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we have to have that balance, that a balanced opinion, because we have to have that other number, the recovery rate,
Mm.
so we know that the chances of recovering are still this high. We
And
have to look
think
at both.
like think about what I just said too. The recoveries that we know as to how high it is. We know their high recovery rate. What about those who are at home who are getting it, who are recovering without being documented as recovering, right?
Yeah.
So the recovery rate, I guarantee you, no matter what science, no matter what science can show us,
Hmm.
uh, no matter what we read, the recovery rate is going to be much, much higher than we can actually see on paper.
Yeah.
The death rate is the death rate. Like people are gonna die. We're gonna have them tested. They died from this virus. That's there might be variances here, mistakes and whatnot, but that's gonna be our best guess as to what this virus is doing. Like you said, there already is data showing such a high percentage of recovery. Like you said, what 97% or something? I don't know if I said that, but I
I
remember
think you
seeing
said
that
that. Yeah.
number. Yeah, I remember seeing that number somewhere. About 97% recovered. I think that's probably actually a lot higher if what I think is true that a lot of people are going to get it and not get tested.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, like, there's also the confirmed cases that haven't recovered, and we're just waiting, and we're in pending
Yeah,
mode,
we're
right?
waiting. That's
So,
right. We'll know
um,
better these kind of things in 6 months when the data can be properly analyzed. But right now, we're in this state of uncertainty. That's why I said uh, most people's fear comes from uncertainty, I think. And for me, like, I think that's where most of this like fear comes from. But
yeah.
I just said that. So,
And I think a lot of it is, the quarantine's not helping people who are not used to it. And I don't
yeah.
think a lot of people are used to it. Even me, who's used to being inside most of the time,
Hmm.
is getting to me. But I'm like, I know how to cope with it because I'm
Hmm.
used to being inside for long periods of time. Struggling with finances is like pretty much like I don't stress over it because I know stressing
Hmm.
over it is not going to get you anywhere. What you have to do is you have to take action. And
Yeah.
people just don't know. People are
Yeah.
uneducated when it comes to taking action in this situation.
They are very much so. And so I think what we're seeing is just a lot of people like we've think about how much we've discussed the the uh, the struggle and the effect that technology has on us.
Hmm.
especially our phones and society. And now it's like, um, it's almost like we're being forced to go more to our phones. Like, I don't know about you. I was thinking about asking this question on Facebook, like, uh, uh, if you're somebody who monitors your screen time, because a lot of people do monitor their screen time, what what's the percentage boost that you would say quarantine has given you, right? And so for I think for a lot of people, they're just resorting to their screens. Um that's the fail safe, right?
Yeah,
Something to keep them from boredom.
I mean, if you're taking advantage and using it as a tool, and you're using it to educate yourself in ways
Hmm.
maybe not news wise, but like for example, keeping yourself occupied, like you want to like reach out to people to inspire activism, get people stay in your houses, listen to, like authorities and like take your part, don't
Hmm.
spread the disease, then we could get out of it much faster if we're like everybody's using the technology as a tool. You don't have to be on it all the time. You can
Yeah,
like
you
you
don't
can
have
print
to.
you can print out papers to fill out, and you can
Yeah,
fill it out, and then you can scan it, and then you can send it by email, right? Like you don't have to waste all your time writing it all out on the computer. That's more screen time, right? Because you
yeah,
could be listening to music. You could be listening to music, writing that book outside in your backyard, or not the book,
yeah.
but the pages, right? Like you're filling out, say, EI papers or whatever it is, um, ability, whatever what it may be, and
Yeah, well,
um,
like we're getting lucky right now, Sean, with this weather. Like every day I've been going outside, going for hikes with my dog and stuff. And like I said, like I'm an extrovert. Uh, so right now the biggest struggle has been the loss of face-to-face contact. Like
mhm,
I every day I'd go to school and I'm in a classroom full of peers, friends, having discussions. One of my best friends right now is on like lockdown quarantine. He crossed the border. Actually, two of my best friends right now are in quarantine. Both of them
mhm.
crossed the border. One took a flight somewhere and just got home a few days ago. And so it's like we can't hang out for 2 weeks. And for me, that's really difficult to do. I've been lucky enough that it's been nice out because that's one of my uh, ways of coping with that. Is like if
Yeah,
I'm bored or feeling lonely or something, like I find solitude in the trees, in the forest and stuff like that. And so we've been
that's
lucky right now that we've got great weather. Like, look, you can see the sun coming through here. It was supposed to rain today too, and it did actually. It rained earlier, but this week
yeah.
was supposed to be disgusting, apparently. And I was really worried about it from the quarantine standpoint because I was like, yeah, we are in quarantine, but we've been lucky lately. We've had nice weather. People can get outside. Yeah, like you said, you can go right outside and we've all got laptops now, right? I can just go sit
Tablets,
outside
laptops.
and exactly. We don't have to be at our desks working on our computer. We can go outside, but Sean, like how many people do you think are taking these steps, are like recognizing like, oh, this is going to be a difficult time where I'm going to be forced to be alone more. I need to take precautions. I need to uh, focus on how I'm going to maintain a strong mental health throughout this time of seclusion. And
Yeah,
I don't know how many people are doing that. I doubt a lot of people are taking the time to really think about that. And I shouldn't doubt that. That hurts to say almost. I want to think the best in people. But I know what I was like as a teenager or like kind of becoming self aware. And that's what I'd be doing. I'd probably just be sitting around playing video games, eating food, and masturbating, right? Like that's
mhm.
probably all I'd do for this whole quarantine. But and so I'm more so just worried about the general population right now and what's going on. And like I said about my Facebook post, like I'm really worried people are just going to get at each other's throats more because I think that's what speaking through um, text and technology. I think that's what it does more than anything. I think it it creates a further disconnect. No matter how many more people we're connected to, I do think it creates a greater disconnect from each other, just because we can't get the context, because we can't see uh, the visuals, the smiles, the jokes. We can't always
Yeah.
read between the lines.
Yeah, it's really hard, um especially if you're really self-isolated. Like you're 100% by
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
self-isolating. That is the hardest thing to do. I'm with my family. Like that's
Hmm.
the benefit I have, even though I can't stand them half the time. Like but like I'm not going to go see my
Hmm.
brother or my sister because they have their own family, and like
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and try to spread the disease either. So
Yeah,
like not like I
I
really
saw
want to.
somebody say something too about that, right? Like, oh well, you know, we're just called to sit around and do this. Like, I know it's hard for everybody, but like you just need to get over it and do it. And I'm thinking in my head, like, you're a married person, right? Like, you have a specific uh lifestyle that is different than mine, right?
Like maybe more privileged in a way. That not the right
Yeah,
word, but
maybe, right? Like the fact that you have constant companionship, right?
mhm.
Whereas I don't. Like I'm a single guy, so um,
And a father.
yeah, and a father, and I get a lot of companionship from my children, but like I had them today, and then their mom picks them up, and now I'm all alone here at home. And
Hmm.
normally, if I'm alone at night, I'm gonna go over to a friend's house or something like that. And now my two best friends are in quarantine, and like strict quarantine, and all my
Yeah,
other friends, like, are just self quarantining anyways. And
yeah,
so um, maybe I'd go to the bar or a restaurant and have a beer and have a nice conversation with somebody there. I Before this, I'd go to the bar at least once a week just for even a beer and a dinner kind of thing, with a
yeah.
maybe with a friend or maybe without. And just, I like interaction. I'm a What about us people watchers, right? Like, I like reading a book in a coffee shop and stuff like that.
I agree. I agree. I like.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not an it's extrovert, introvert. You're an extrovert.
Yeah, yeah, extroverts like where you like the company of other people, you need to be
Hmm.
in and
Well, I
introverts are more like they like
in
their own
insight, yeah.
time alone. And
So
yeah.
like I'm not an introvert because I want to be or choose to be or seem that way. The way I'm an introvert is due to my disability.
Mm,
Because I have stomach problems. I can't be out for long periods of time due to stress. I have to manage it through meditation, through healthy diet, through stress management, through
diet. Did you say
supplements as
that? I
well.
don't know. Yeah.
There's so many things that go into it, and like I could be good for a few weeks, and then just all of a sudden, bam! And like lately, it's been getting worse, right? But like if
Mm,
I tell, like I said, the power of your words make a difference, right? Your words
yeah.
and your intentions. So if I keep telling myself it's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's gonna get worse. If I tell myself, even though it's not true, it's gonna get better.
Mm,
That hopeful intention, you're putting that into the word. Think of every word as a vibration because everything is energy.
mm.
Here we
Yeah.
go
Okay.
into
Yeah.
me talking about energy, vibrations,
Yeah. Yeah.
and spirituality. Here we go. So everything you put out, you're sending out into the universe,
Hmm.
and you're attracting more of it. So what I gotta tell myself and tell other people, sometimes you got like when they say fake it till you make it, like I don't agree with that statement at all.
Yeah. I don't agree with that at all myself.
But you're
I
not
think. I
it's
think.
wishful thinking.
I just want to say wishful thinking is different. I think there's uh, just implying the idea of fakeness. Like I think there's tremendous power in lies, like to
Mm-hmm.
in the opposite effect. And so even if you're lying to yourself, uh, I think it has tremendous negative uh, effects on things, but especially when you openly lie to somebody else.
Yeah, like
I
when
really,
we're
I actually detest that saying "fake it till you make
I
it."
hate
I
it
think
too.
we need to be honest no matter what we're doing, and
Yeah, I've
honesty will eventually you'll you're more likely to make it eventually. Wouldn't you rather make it honorably than
Hmm.
to fake it to make it? Like that doesn't make much
I
sense to me. I'm
totally.
all about honor though, right?
That's why I'm friends with you.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because I know you're not a faker, and I can't be
yeah.
friends
I'm
with
not fake.
fakers.
Yeah.
Like I just can't.
Me neither.
It doesn't work that way.
It I've you know I being quite extroverted and meeting a lot of people, like I can think of friends who come to mind who I know are fake. Like I
Hmm.
and it causes me to not want to see them very much. Like I
Yeah.
and or and not to trust them, not to be myself. And sometimes I do even. Sometimes I want to see the good in people that I'll meet up with somebody who I know is fake and still give them me, right?
Hmm.
Still be open and be willing to take it in. But a lot of the times I can hear the fakeness. And
Yeah.
it
It just
hurts, like
it comes out. Like you. It just you
yeah,
can just detect. You just detect it,
you can
and
detect it.
it.
So
it
that's an interesting point. Like, how do we detect that? What is it exactly that is being detected
it's
in
the
that moment?
authenticity.
Yeah. Um, so I've been fooled many times though, right, Sean? Like I'm just saying,
Mhm.
how do we how do we properly detect authenticity? Some people are really good fakers,
I
right?
agree, especially on scams like these days. But I'm not gonna
Mhm.
get into that. But
And I
people
think
are good
because we
fakers.
always want to believe the best in somebody too, like we want to believe that people aren't faking, like that people are honorable. Um, but in times like these, like you say with scammers, like holy cow, every day I get a call from somebody trying to steal my money. Like uh, I've I've had once they almost took me. I thought it was the not the IRS, but
CRA,
our CRA, our Canadian
Revenue
like
Agency.
revenue service. Yeah, I thought it was them. I thought I owed money, and I thought I did my taxes wrong because I for at this year that this call came, and it sounded so legit, right? They call me and it sounds so legit.
Yeah.
There was a problem with your tax because I was doing them myself. Like I'm so old school. Like I go into the post office and grab like the tax forms and write it out by hand
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
send it in. And I thought I did it wrong, and I thought I was in big trouble, even though I know that there's a leeway for if you do end up doing it wrong. Like they just charge you more later, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
I thought I was legit in trouble, and they're like, "Yeah, we're sending an officer to arrest you unless you pay us this money." And I'm
You know
like,
what you say to them?
"Whoa, like, are you serious? What's that?"
You know what you say to them?
Yeah, what do you say?
You say send him over. I'm right. I'm here in
Well,
here in my house.
that's what I that's what I did, but I was worried. Like I said, okay, like that's that's fine. I guess whatever it is what it is. Like send them over. I'll be waiting. And they're like, well, if you pay it off, like then we won't have to send them over. I said, yeah, I'll pay my dues. Like I'll pay my debts, but I'm not like going to give you my credit card number over the phone. Like I
Hmm.
need to see a bill in the mail, like stamped
Yeah.
with the Canadian authenticity. Like I'm not that dumb. But they all like I was so dumb I think I was 22 or something at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was a young kid. I was doing my own taxes and I was worried I did them wrong. And they almost got me. And I almost sent them a couple $1,000. But
Wow.
and I even then I was I look back and I think of how stupid I was. But I wasn't like dumb. Like obviously
No.
not. I wasn't an idiot, but I
Well, I mean, like,
didn't really have much sense, and I didn't know. I was so willing to believe this person. They faked it so well that I thought they were real.
I wanted to get into uh the evolution. Like, we're evolving on our education of scams, and the scams are also evolving. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Everything's
the
evolving at the
scams are
same
evolving.
time,
Yeah,
and it used to be so obvious sometimes that like it's a scam. And I was
yeah.
trained. I was trained to know when the scam is happening. Sometimes people are trying to
Why?
con you.
Why were you trained to know?
Oh, just because
Like,
I'm paranoid.
oh
I'm
well,
just paranoid.
yeah, and because you're a lot more on the interweb, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of see these things play out more in real time.
Yeah, I had a past experience where paranoia just made me I have to know everything about everything. And then when I knew everything about everything, I actually knew nothing, but I thought I knew everything, and it made me go crazy. So
Right.
that's why I think in the last podcast we're talking about, what you said, I want to know everything. I'm like, no, you don't, because you
No, I
really
know, and
don't.
that's what I said too. I know, like there's a desire to know everything, but like I know exactly what you're saying. No, I don't. Like I can't handle everything. There's no way.
Yeah,
The amount I know already hurts, and I know there's so much more to know. Uh,
yeah. Like beliefs, like we talk about this in usually every podcast. I say beliefs shape your reality. What you
yeah,
believe in, like if you're gonna, like, it doesn't mean that if you believe anything, it's gonna happen, but
mm.
anything is still possible. Like you have to
Yeah.
logically believe it. You know.
You're really big on this intentions, right? Like positive
Mm.
intentions produce positive outcomes, kind of thing. Um, and I really do agree. I think more so than anything, like for me, the way I would put it is realistic intentions produce positive outcomes. So I'd say I haven't always been super positive. I've just always kind of readjusted the way I see things into a more realistic lens. And so,
See, that's the
um,
thing. I just want to get.
okay,
I
go
want to
ahead.
interrupt. I'll interrupt you there for a second
Yeah, interrupt me.
because I thought things weren't realistic before, that couldn't happen, that happened in my life, and I was like, if that happened, what else can happen? You know, these. I want to bring this in a different podcast. Miracles
Well,
and
yeah,
experiences that have
yeah,
happened.
exactly. So realistic is like I should uh, expand more on these words, and right, and that's something we need to touch on too. Like words can't fully express our intentions, our beliefs, or what we're trying to say out here. They're,
Hmm.
simple representations of a bigger idea. And so I'll try my best to explain these kind of things in the way that I can, but I mean in the sense of like I'm with you. Yeah, I believe like I believe though the way I've seen it is to have a realistic approach towards things, and then when something does transcend the realistic, like the miracles or the anomalies or something like that, then
Hmm.
that's something to like rejoice over almost, right? And so to always have a positive, I've just found right in my life that to have unrealistically positive mindsets can set you up for failure, right? And this is the fear a lot of people have in positivity, right? Whereas if they stay in their negative states, they can't be disappointed because nothing can really uh, go below their expectations. If you
That's the thing.
have, okay, yeah,
I wanted to get
go
into
ahead.
that because people think, like, there's, yeah, you hear Murphy's law, whatever bad can happen will
Yeah,
happen. Like, but and that's why nobody ever brings it up, because every time
I
you
don't
say it,
like that law.
you ever say you think, oh shit, something worse is gonna happen now. But like that's what I'm gonna say is like, just because we're at a point where um it's bad, it could be worse, but it also
Mm.
could be better.
Yeah,
But to get into that better
yeah,
state, and you don't want to be disappointed, but you don't want to be overly happy. That's what they call it, manic excitement. Um, and like it's kind of a bipolar type of a mood where you're too excited for no reason, or you're too depressed for no reason, or too angry for no reason. Like you're mood swinging. Um,
yeah. But you're
you
big on this concept of positive thinking, like the what's it, the positive
law of
attraction?
attraction, law of
The
attraction.
Yeah, the law of attraction. So why don't you talk on
Okay,
that a bit?
I want to get into that. So like law of attraction is one law, and have you seen the movie The Secret? I think you did. You told me you did watch it a while back.
Yeah, years ago,
I
so
suggest
long
watching it
ago.
again. But
Yeah, okay.
they're actually coming up with a movie by the same author of the book, and it's really cool. I forgot the name. I posted on my
Okay.
Facebook. I'll tell you later.
Like what kind of
Um,
movie?
it's about the law of attraction. It's really cool. It's funny how they
It's like
released it
another
now.
documentary kind of thing?
Oh no, it's actually a movie. It's like a drama.
Oh, like a drama. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
fiction. Cool.
Well,
That'd be interesting to
fiction,
see.
if you want to call it fiction.
But like a
I mean,
story,
it's yeah,
right?
it could be. I mean, it's not based on a true story, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's still, I don't know, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it, fantasy.
What do you classify that though? I
It's
I just
drama.
even if even if a story is a true story, if it's written in like a novel form, I call it fiction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But anyways, doesn't matter.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're actually right about that. Yeah, fiction. But anyway, I forgot what we're saying. Law of attraction,
Oh, law of attraction.
intentions. Okay, law of attraction, one law. I'm learning about the other laws. I don't know all the laws.
Laws of what? Laws of
Laws of the
reality?
planets. Laws of the
Okay.
planets. So law of attraction is law of Venus.
Okay.
Um, and that makes sense because women are for Venus, men are for Mars. Like that's the saying, right?
Yeah.
But like I said,
So what's
every
what's Mars law? Do you know offhand?
I think it's the law of logic.
Oh, that's us man, eh? That
I'm
makes
not
sense.
sure. I could be completely wrong. I haven't read the other laws yet.
Sure. Okay.
Um, but there's also the Hermetic principles. We'll get into that in another book. That you have to read the book. I want you to read the book because
Which one?
it's the Hermeticism. There's a couple books on it, but I'll give you
Okay.
the right one later on.
You've got
We'll
one
post it.
at home?
I have it on my Kindle.
Ah, I like reading it physical though. You know that.
You can buy it. I don't
Yeah,
have it.
I'll have to get the book.
I don't have it. I mean, like you can order it.
Yeah, I'll have to order it. I like underlining it and writing like notes in the sides and
I
stuff
mean,
like
you could
that.
still do that in the Kindle. It's so cool because it's
Mm,
better than a phone, better than a phone, better than a laptop. Because like what you can do is actually play it back, and you could highlight, and you could write notes. Really interesting.
yeah, but then it's more. I don't know. Anyways,
But then
look, like,
you don't want to get that
uh,
screen time, right?
yeah, I'll quickly show you my library.
Did you want to grab your Bible?
Yeah, I could. Like, and I've read most of these, but um, yeah, I could even kind of show you how I write in my
Be
Bible,
careful. Be
and I
careful.
could do that. I'll read. I'll read. I think I left it on the kitchen table. One second.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll just take me 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'll find that verse I was talking about. Matthew 7, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah. Uh, Matthew 7, verse 1. Judge not that you be not judged. So it starts with this idea of judgment. This is why it's so important to think about that when you think about the parable here. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and look, a plank is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So
Help yourself before
it's
you
like,
help others.
yeah, exactly. And so a lot of people have taken that and been like, oh, see, like you can't judge. You're not allowed to judge because you got the plank in your own eye. That's not the intention of it. The
Okay.
intention is that
Yeah, go ahead.
through the yeah, let me just finish that. That through you can't judge because you have the log in your own eye, but through the process of removing the log, you're now able to freely help your brother who's got the speck in your eye, and he's more willing to to take your advice, right?
Hmm.
Because like it says here, if you do it, um, uh, no, he doesn't respond. It just says, "Let me remove the speck from your own eye," and look, a plank is in your own eye. Like it's so saying that if you can get rid of that, your brother's more likely to respond to you. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on that what you just said in a gambling perspective. I always
Okay.
compare things to gambling because it just makes sense to me. Um, in the law of attraction, what you want to do to attract things positive, it's not just about what positive thinking. It has to do with your feeling, how you feel. Because you could think positively and be completely miserable, right? Your thoughts
Yeah.
have to match your feeling. And to match your feeling, you have to get into a meditative state. Your
Okay.
prayers are only intentions, they're words that you speak. It's not going to get it. It could make you feel better, but you have to get into a meditative state of mind where your feeling of your body is matching your thoughts, and that will send. Okay, I have to bring up this spectrum one day to show you.
Okay.
Um, it
What'd you
shows
say
you
about prayers as being a
prayers. Prayers.
yeah, what'd you say about prayer? I'm writing this down. Like thoughts have to match feelings. That's the
Prayers are
importance of
intention.
to meditative
Thoughts
state.
are
Prayers are
are
simply
um
intentions. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you're
Uh,
asking for it, which is part of the part of the process. You have to ask for it. Um, you have to
hmm,
feel it, and you have to think. You have to think of how it's going to actually unfold.
think uh, of unfolding or maybe like consequences.
Not consequences, but
Not consequences.
how it's gonna play out. Like,
Yeah.
think of your action plan. Like, you have to take action.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, if
Yeah.
you're
That's
expecting
fair.
like if you're expecting to win the lottery, like we're going back to gambling. Here we go again. And
Yep.
you don't buy a ticket, you're not gonna
Hmm.
win. But if somebody else buys you a ticket, say your birthday's coming up, and you're like, maybe I should mention this. I really want to win something, but I don't want to actually play. And then a friend buys it for you out of randomness. That's attraction.
I'm
That's
trying to
just
think about gambling here, how that works.
okay. I wanted to get into
Um,
gambling. So, like,
yeah, get
if
into
you're
gambling.
gambling and you're expecting, like, okay, you're not gonna tip the dealer until you win a lot of money.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
but say, every time you go to the gamble and you never win, like you'll win a little bit, you'll win it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then you end up losing it all. So you go like next week,
Yeah.
and you may take a month off. It doesn't matter what your strategy is. You could be the best blackjack player, best roulette player, and then one day you change your mind. You're like, I'm gonna feel like I already won that money, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
tip the dealer this time. I'm gonna give him back his energy that he's giving off to me,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna tip the dealer. And then the dealer is like, he taps the table. That's just what they do. And then they're like, thank you for the bet. And then they have a shift. They have a different, like, um not an expectation, but they have a different, like, thought about you.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's generous.
Huh.
This
Yeah.
guy. It doesn't matter if he's winning or losing.
Okay.
He sees that I'm actually working here, and I actually mean something. Maybe let's give him a chance. Let's see if we can work together here, right? And
Yeah.
then you start winning. It doesn't mean you have to tip every single time. It just means that, like, maybe this is my method. If I win my first hand, or maybe it's not the first hand, but like I'll win two hands and I'll tip him. Then if I lose, I won't tip him until I win again. Or maybe like it
Don't you-
doesn't matter. It's just like the exchange of energy. I'm just
Okay.
trying to,
Yes.
trying to
So, well,
get you into that.
yeah, we've both discussed this idea of energy exchange and how we both feel it to be a very real thing. Um, so I haven't really thought about it much in this kind of context, in the idea of like luck, right?
Mm.
Um, so it's an interesting thing to bring up. So
Can I
like
just
there's a
elaborate on that a little
positive,
bit?
yeah, elaborate, go for
Because
it.
if you're at a blackjack table, everybody there's trying to beat the dealer.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad vibe,
Mm.
then you're gonna ruin the table because everybody has that vibe. You kind of like, it's the law of attraction in a negative way. You're attracting negativity because you're creating a
Yeah.
negative environment. If you say like, "Oh, you screwed up the table," well, guess what? Guess what? If you didn't say that, your words that you just said,
Hmm.
maybe the table wouldn't have been screwed up. Maybe it doesn't even matter if you screwed up the table, as long as you just keep playing what you're doing and you do your method and you just do what you're saying. You could give him advice, and if he doesn't take it, just don't, just whatever, right? Because just shrug it off. Anyway, go on.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh man, I'm just trying to think about how this could work because I mean, technically, how are we to know? Like somebody, a scientific mind would be like, well, the the cards are shuffled in this specific way that they're going to come as they come, and
Mm-hmm.
my my energy can't affect the outcome of this. But so then I'm also thinking in the same sense of the roulette guy. So like this is it's so funny how you said it, because I've gone to the casinos a number of times.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge gambler. I haven't been in a couple years now, but I do really like roulette. I find it fun. I usually bet on the outside and just like, yeah, put $20 on black or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about how you're saying that you tipping the guy who spins it, right,
Mm-hmm.
before you even sat down. That would have an energy shift. That would be very interesting, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so when he whether he is purposeful or not, he's gonna want you to win. Like he wants you to win that next hand, right?
Yeah.
Whereas normally they just don't care. So, but if you give him a tip and you brighten his day a bit, and if your energy exudes that too, right? Like I think our words matter, right? It's not just you give the guy a tip, but you say, "Hey, Joe," right? He's got a name tag on. "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Joe, how's your night been? I hope I can, I hope you're having a good night, and like I hope I can have a good night too," kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just that interaction, that positive energy, um, it will actually have an effect on how he throws the ball and how he spins the dot,
Yeah.
right? And so, uh, not that you could say necessarily one way or another, it's going to like necessarily
Increase
uh,
your odds.
increase your odds, but as somebody who does believe in the energies
Mm-hmm.
and how positive energies do affect a more positive outcome, and that words even not said, just words internalized about somebody I cross, just having a positive thought towards somebody I come across is going to be a benefit, as opposed to maybe it manifests itself in the way that they see me, right? And they see the positivity and that brightens their energy. Or maybe it's just because I do believe, whether we even looked at each other or not, there's an energy transfer between us as we go by.
Yeah.
All this to say, anyways, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but I do, although somebody who's more scientifically minded might disagree in this context, I don't know how it could be necessarily proven, but I agree
Well,
with you.
I want to get into like just the thoughts of your words. Like, say you're on a roll, you're not winning, but like you're just a positivity roll, right? And uh, you're starting conversation naturally, not overly annoying, just normal, and
Yeah,
it might cause that person to say, "Oh, that reminds me, I have to do this," and then he either hits one more or he stays, or he,
hmm,
because there's hands where you can either hit or stay. It's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna definitely always stay on this hand. Definitely gonna always hit on this hand," because like it
right,
depends what the dealer has, and it also
yeah,
depends on your mood. Because like you'd be like, "Oh, this time I'm gonna hit it," or "This time I'm gonna surrender."
yeah.
So like,
Well, and a big thing about blackjack, just to throw this in there, if
mm,
there's any like blackjack listeners, it
mm,
also very much highly depends on what the people beside you have, right? Because you're also
yeah,
working as a team, and a lot of the times I might hit on what I've got, but depending on the cards out there, I might stay because of the odds to defeat the dealer are change things. But anyways, continue. Just to
yeah. So like, I want to compare that to everyday life. So like, you could be in a situation like at work or whatever, and you're
yeah,
trying to get everybody on this positive, like, try to like say that somebody brings up something negative, and you're like trying to like change the subject, and then you end up like doing something for them that might make them better. Like you're not expecting anything in return. Like I said,
yeah,
like when you're
yeah,
tipping
yeah,
the dealer, you're not expecting to win. You're just doing it just
yeah.
to change the shift of energy. So like you
Mhm.
do something to somebody where you're not expecting anything in return, and then like this is what John told me, a friend of
Okay.
somebody.
Yeah.
And he said like whatever you give out, you get tenfold back. But like that's just a
Okay.
number. It just could be like
Yeah,
you get back more what you give
that's
out.
a Christian parable kind of idea.
Yeah.
Um, uh, that's interesting. Not expecting a return. So, so then this is the trouble. We we go into this mindset of I'm gonna tip this dealer beforehand, um, to shift the energy so it's in my favor. But
Mhm.
what then on the other hand, you're saying you can't go in expecting a return.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just the difficulty there.
Because the thing is, timing is everything. Um and like you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time or the right place at the right time, you know? Like
This is where this is where I feel like my mindset of just like kind of trying to remain positive but also realistic at the same time,
mhm.
right? Like to know that um, I have the influence to uh, create positivity, whether it comes back to me immediately or tenfold or not, or maybe I'm just giving my positive energy and I won't see a return right away.
Some people think that they'll see a return when they're alive. You might get that return when you're dead.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people, and that's the thing, a lot of people do believe that, right? Like a lot of people do believe that um, the more you sacrifice in this life, the more return you'll see in the afterlife. I mean, and I at least, I think that's at least an honorable way to think, right? You know, what would we be as a society if people didn't offer their lives up for the sake of others, right? Like where would we be? I think to have any type of progression, people need to be willing to sacrifice. uh, and if somebody thinks that they're going to receive tenfold in the next realm, I don't really see the harm in that. Although I don't think it's really the proper way to conduct yourself. I think the idea, like you said, it's not expecting a return. Like I personally, I try to live a life of um, regulatory sacrifice. I mean, being a father, that's just pretty much the way it goes. Like
Mhm.
I don't have the luxury of always doing what I want for myself. And
Yeah.
being a father has helped me recognize that and to accept that as a fact that like a lot of my life is not going to be what I want to do. It's um but
What's in your best interest of your whole family
that's right. And
and your
in the
destiny.
end, and you start recognizing, yeah, and destiny too. And you start recognizing that um although you might not I like to think of things and idea of long term. I think if you live that kind of lifestyle, you will see over this lifetime. We don't have to talk about next lives. I think that
Mhm.
um, if you live that type of lifestyle, you will see the return. Maybe not now, maybe not even a year, kind of thing. But if you continuously live a life of not expecting a return, but being willing to sacrifice your energy in a positive manner just to do, to try to um, uplift the energy of those around you, whether they give it back to you right away or not. I think in the long run, throughout the course of your life, you're bound to receive more from that than
Yeah.
you would otherwise.
Like you know how like people go out to have a fun time?
Yeah, in like
Okay?
what?
I'm just saying.
Like drink
Like yeah,
or
drink or socialize or gamble
sure.
whatever. But if
Or
you're
gamble, yeah.
going to chase something, like we talked about this before, you're chasing something, you're not going to get it. It's going to run away from
Right,
you because you're in
right.
implementing that you're chasing something that's running away, and you doesn't matter how fast you run, it's still out of reach because you don't have it.
Hmm.
So what you have to visualize, what you have to imagine is be like I talked about this before, is be grateful what you have
Yeah.
and empower yourself and feel that feeling like I have this. I'm so grateful I have this, and be like I want to share this with people. Like I want other people to experience this. So you going out helping people, but then when you try to help people, you get pissed. Like some people get pissed up because they get irritated because like I want you to feel this too, but you can't.
Yeah.
You don't know how to approach it. And like with one of my exes, my recent ex, the first time I brought her up, is that she was trying
What
to
are we bringing up exes now? This is
yeah,
yeah.
I wanted to bring this up, but she was trying to
Yeah, no, that's okay.
explain like her lifestyle to her mother, and I said you have to approach it in a way that simulates to their lifestyle.
Yeah.
You can't
so
just
they
be like
understand.
you can't be like Jesus is the way. You have to follow Jesus. Like you'd be like, are you a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness Christian? Like, what
Mhm.
are you? Like, you trying to convert me? Like, you can't just do that. It's not gonna work.
No.
You have to ease into it.
Yeah, I've always found that to be very interesting. The trying to convert people to your specific religion or whatnot. Um, I've always kind of had the approach of long term, right? Like most of my friends aren't religious, um, and I have found that I think the best way somebody's gonna, I think no matter what, you can't tell somebody what is best for their life.
Hmm.
The best thing you can do is just be there for them, show that you're a good friend. If they ask you for your opinions or advice, then you're there to give it to them. But they have to be in the state of change. Like they have to be prepped for themselves. You can't
Yeah.
come to somebody and tell them they need to change. They have to come to you and say, "I need to change, and can you help?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way, and I think uh, that's where something like patience is a virtue. Um, you know,
Yeah, my ex had a tattoo of patience on her arm.
did she really? That's funny.
That's
I looked
only
that
one
up.
of the tattoos, and I'm not even gonna get into the other ones.
Good, yeah. We don't need to open up that
Yeah.
any heartache. Not that I'm saying there's
It's not
heartache
heartache.
there,
It
but
just
yeah.
boggles my mind how like synchronicity is happening so strangely. Maybe not for
Okay.
good or for bad, but just so weird.
Synchronicity. Well, it could be just all the energies aligning. Well, like that's what let's let's talk more about. Let's start kind of wrapping things up and bring it back to the whole COVID-19 thing. So we talked a little bit about like the idea of the placebo effect or like beliefs changing outcomes. Let's say positive energies creating positive outcome. Um, so how do we then in our society right now? How do we best combat the COVID-19 pandemic when, like we've said, uh, there's varying opinions, there's uh, unfinished scientific data. We're early on in all of this. So how can we who have aren't going to be going into the lab looking for a cure for this, that's not the type of people we are. How do we who believe that positivity uh, can manifest itself through intentions and energies and action,
Okay, here
how do
comes
we
back.
move
Yeah,
that out?
here comes
Yeah.
the balance opinions, and also I talk about consciousness.
Yeah.
Like people get confused when you talk about consciousness. Like, what is consciousness? In my opinion, consciousness is who you are. You're not your body. You're not your spirit. Well, technically you are your spirit, but anyway, consciousness is kind of like who you are as your spirit. Okay? So like your intelligence, all your programs, all your past experiences, if you believe in past lives, if you believe in reincarnation, everything you brought with you is in this consciousness. And as a vessel, like our bodies are a vessel, okay? And we're like a computer program. No, not we're like a computer, and our brain is
Yeah.
like
Okay.
we're programming ourselves to experience more things through this body, right? And everybody is connected to each other. Okay. I was watching this video. It's called Inner Worlds, Outer Worlds. I think I mentioned this before. Inner Worlds, Outer Worlds. Watch it on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend watching that this week if you can on Amazon
I don't
Prime.
have Amazon Prime.
It's only $7.99 a month, and you could watch it for 1 month. Actually, technically, tell you what, Amazon Prime is
I'm trying to
free.
get away from this technology.
Amazon Prime is free for your first month.
Yeah, for 1 month.
Yeah, you only need to watch it one day.
I don't know, man.
It's a 2-hour movie,
Anyways,
not even an
continue.
hour and a half.
I'll think about it.
Or you can come over and watch it with me. How about that?
Yeah, maybe I'll. Yeah, maybe
Once we're out of
once this
quarantine.
quarantine's over, I'll come over and watch it.
Anyway, dark
We'll see.
matter. So everything, like this air around me, everything is connected through dark matter. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what connects us through quantum physics. That's what connects us through the collective consciousness. So you write that down. Collective consciousness.
I do know a little bit about dark matter, quantum physics, collective consciousness kind of thing. I've done minute research into these kind of areas, but you've done a lot more, so continue.
Okay, so the collective consciousness is just where we're at with society. Like, we're trying to raise the vibration of the planet, but with COVID, we're in like more than half of the planet's sphere, because not just for themselves, for other people, for and as time goes by with the quarantine, we have to combat this fear by like I said, by intention, by thought, by meditation, by raising your vibration. That's like, it just, if you want to put into 1 word, 3 words, raise your vibration, and then you have to learn how to do that. So
and you're kind of referring to this raising of your vibration in like the light of like positivity kind of thing. Like, how do you mean by raise your vibration? Like, do you get louder? Do you
no.
Like, what do you mean?
Raising your vibration.
Positivity.
It's
like
no, it's not
thinking?
Just positivity. It's mentally too, because like you have to think clearly. So clear thinking, diet, that's raising your vibration. Exercise, like getting outside. I don't get out enough already, and I should probably do it, even though we're in quarantine. But I'm gonna go outside my backyard and just chill on a lawn chair or something and meditate. Like, I don't have to do harsh exercise. Just go out, get fresh air, read a book, meditate, socialize, do video calls like we're doing, right? Like, you could do this with other people.
It's just not the same. But anyways, it's the best we've got, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, go visit a friend and say hi through a window, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whatever you want to do. Nice. Whatever you want to do, social distancing, as long as you're doing that. But raising your vibration, I'm going to send you some information on how to do that, how to do it. There's so many ways you can do it. Like listening to music, making music. This is why I want to get into music production and DJing, is because I think that's a passion of mine that I can really, really pursue. I'm not like trained enough, but I want to do some training. And that's just another thing people can be doing. People can be learning a new skill, like learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
They could be learning a new skill without technology, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have books. Probably everybody has like some type of music book where they can learn how to teach themselves how to read notes.
Yeah, but people are so lazy sometimes, That takes a lot of effort.
I mean, okay, yeah, you have to get into the mindset. You have to get in that mindset.
I know. People, that's what I mean. People need to want to change, right? People need to want to better themselves. And so that's always been my intention, is to try to raise awareness in this culture that actually says the opposite. That says you are good enough as who you are. Whereas I don't think we're ever really good enough. Like, I, I think you need to know you're good enough, but we shouldn't be just content
Comfortable.
with who we are. We need
Yeah.
to always try to better ourselves, right?
Adapt. We have to adapt. We have to evolve.
Yeah, I just think it's such a lie in the sense like you can try to tell yourself you're good enough, but if you don't believe that, then you're not gonna feel it. This is a problem with the fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah. I
And
don't. I Makes
I
me
don't think
sick.
anybody can really look at their lives and be like, oh yeah, I'm I'm good where I'm at. Like, don't we always strive for more? Like, isn't there always a goal or somewhere we want to be? Like, I my intention is to always be uh, better this year than I was last year.
Hmm.
More knowledgeable, maybe better at guitar or writing, or maybe a better friend or a colleague or something, or maybe better master at the craft I do. And through experience and uh, through genuine uh, caring and attention towards these things we want to better ourselves in, we become better. So
Yeah.
we know that's true, and we know nobody's perfect. So why do we feed into this idea that just be content with who you are? Like, why is that a real thing? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Not everybody believes that though. Some like a lot of
Yeah,
people say like it just depends on the group you're hanging out with. Like some people believe
I
that.
know,
Some
but I
people.
get that a lot. I get that a lot. Like, I get when I like, I'm sure if somebody's listening to this right now, Um, I'm sure one or two people would probably disagree with me in the
Mhm.
sense that it's, and they'd say, well, shouldn't you be happy with who you are? And like, you're good enough and we can't expect perfection stuff. And I'm not saying I'm not expecting perfection. I'm just saying, like, if we know we're not perfect, then we know that we can be better. And then we need to intentionally work towards that. And
Yeah, I wanted to.
doesn't have to be a lofty goal. It
Yeah,
just has to be increments, right?
like
And
I
it's
I hear a
part of the
lot.
mindset of it that's so positive. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I hear a lot like when it comes to like fitness and diet. They're like, "Oh, you're not fat. Don't worry about it. Like you shouldn't work
Right,
out." But like you're like, well, I don't feel comfortable with not because I don't feel comfortable looking at myself because I don't feel
right,
healthy. You know,
right.
so there's a totally different thing. And like you might get girls saying, "Oh, you look fine just the way you are." Well, guess what?
Yeah.
They don't even know. Like they might like you 10 times better when you actually do get like healthy, fit, and you look even better. They're like, "Wow, I can't believe it. You look so much better. Like it's amazing." Like just
Well, I
because
think
they
that's
said
just
that.
I think that's just the biggest lie. Like, if you know, there uh, people are attracted to healthiness, right? And
Hmm.
if you are unhealthy, like, why would we tell people otherwise? Like, I agree, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And we're kind of I'm worried here, as we've been talking for so long, that I'm going to say something here I might regret about this field. But um I just think I should finish my saying that I do really think that there is a danger in being content with who you are. I think we should be content with who we are, but always strive for better.
Yeah.
And and just, never hate yourself, because that's not productive. But
No.
to want to look at what you think you could be, or to what you want to be, and strive to make that a reality. And on the other side of that, not to have too lofty goals where you can't complete them, right? Like, just have them day to day kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Make
And
it
the
make it
lowest
a
vibe
year.
the lowest
Go ahead.
vibration that you can be
Yeah.
in. Take a guess.
The lowest vibration you can be in.
It's a state of
um
emotion.
Depression.
It's there, but it's not the lowest.
Oh, I don't know then.
It's
Love.
shame. Shame is the lowest.
Shame.
guilt is right above it. I mean, like if you get to the lowest, like once you get to that scale, you have to pass through those vibrations to get to that vibration.
You know, that would be a good discussion to have one time. Uh, Not that I would enjoy that topic at all. Guilt, shame, uh,
Well, we talk about the whole spectrum,
regrets.
like the whole
I know, but
spectrum.
if we were to talk like, tangibly, like I can think of uh, shame and regrets and guilt. Like I've
Mhm.
said, I'm not perfect at all, and that's something I think that needs to be discussed too.
I think we have to.
And why a lot of Well, I just want to say quickly why a lot of people aren't inclined to better themselves is because uh, it reveals these things. It reveals guilt. It reveals shame and regrets.
Well,
And
the people
a
think.
lot of people aren't
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't mature enough to handle those. And like I've thought about some of my regrets and shame and guilt, and it's not fun and it hurts, right? And
Mhm.
um, those are hard stages to get over too. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't get over them, right? A lot of people who go through the process of trying to better themselves uncover these dark and hurtful states of being and don't know how to get out of them.
Yeah. Um.
I think
Yeah.
that'd
Play
be a
the.
good discussion to have maybe one time.
Yeah, we'll have it another time. But we have to keep it balanced. Like I say, you have to have the the ba- the low spectrum and the high spectrum.
Hmm.
So,
So what's on the high end?
love, compassion, acceptance, enlightenment. Like, there's like not exactly that order
Hmm.
and not exactly that high,
Sure.
but I know enlightenment's
Hmm.
at like the top.
Well, Sean, I think I'm just about ready here to call it
Okay,
uh,
we're gonna
call it a
wrap
night. That
this
was
up,
good though.
but yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm gonna
really enjoyed that discussion a lot. I thought it
yeah.
was very, very good.
I think this was
I've
our
got,
best one so far, in my
I think
opinion.
so too, actually. I've got lots of notes. Um, we talked a little bit about the stuff that's going on and our ways of interpreting the state of affairs right now. And I guess we'll just kind of see how things progress.
Yeah.
See if we're right, if we're wrong, or if it doesn't matter.
And I just want to plug our website again, the-meta-verse.com. And you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. Is it Google Podcasts for all? Those are all the podcast platforms you can find us at.
Are we gonna get
And
a YouTube going?
oh yeah, for this video for sure. This will
Yeah,
probably be uploaded as soon as I'm done editing it. I have
yeah,
to. I have to get your blog post for the first podcast,
I know.
and
I
bam,
it,
bam, bam, done.
Man, there's just so much to it. I'm so busy, and it's so hard, like writing
Rewatching it.
something nice and yeah, well, like yeah, rewatching and writing a blog and like trying to make it relevant and new. But I'll
Well, you
write
can
something
update it
maybe
too.
even just small.
You can update it
Yeah,
because we were out of date now already on the podcast.
I know, right? Well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We've
Hmm.
got we've got a few good discussions though. We got the one blog so far that I've done, and we'll get a couple more going. We'll try to have our site up and running, hopefully through like hopefully soon, eh, Sean?
This week, next week, that's as
Yeah,
far as I want to go.
yeah.
I don't want to go further than that.
No, me neither. Now is the time to get this on the roll. We've got some good discussions here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like you said, I think this was our best one so far, just in the uh, topic
Exchange of, yeah,
transitions. Yeah, the exchange of ideas, and uh, I think it's just going to get better from here on out because this is new to both of us. Uh, Having a long form discussion and
and I didn't really think this was gonna work as well as it did because of the lack of social connection. Like you're not
yeah,
really right in front of the person, but I'm used to it. You're not as used to it. But last time I wasn't used to it, and I was like shocked. So
Yeah, that's funny. Uh, well, I'm used to always talking, so it's not really that much different to me, actually. Like, to be completely honest, this has been all right. It's not as fun in the sense of having earbuds in,
yeah,
and I can't get the same kind of emotional
feeling,
feel
yeah.
from you and stuff like that. But it's the best alternative we've got for now. So we'll just continue to do it. I'm sure our next discussion will be again through this
Probably
screen.
probably this week too. Maybe on Friday.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do one soon.
Yeah, sounds
And
good.
do we know
Okay,
what we're going to talk
so
about?
not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
We're
Okay.
gonna we'll bring it up. I could even add to this at the end and just add what we're gonna talk about next time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
good.
that's today for
Okay.
February, not February, March 24th,
So we are the
2020.
metaverse, and how
Signing
do we
out.
sign off? Yeah.
Just don't
See
log
ya.
out yet. I'll sign out
Sounds good.
and
Peace.
bye.